On this week's show, the Georgia Southern football team heading on the road to Lafayette after their win at home against South Alabama. We'll preview that and also let you know how the Georgia Southern basketball team is doing. All that and more as we welcome you inside the Eagles Nest. And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. Josh Aubrey here, being joined by Mike Anthony, sports editor and Georgia Southern beat writer for the Statesboro Herald. And Mike, this is the first time we've been able to do the show talking about a Georgia Southern victory, and it came this,
Thought there would be balloons.
No, you got Bill Rosa over your head. Hallelujah. No, but the Eagles 52-0 at all things. So not only did they win the game, they won it handily. They won it in a fashion that maybe we had expected 2 years ago. When we opened up Sunbelt play with Georgia Southern, expected these kind of scores, haven't gotten it. Comes against South Alabama. Of all teams, the guys who beat Troy, the guys that beat Arkansas State, Georgia Southern hands them their hat. So 52-0. Your thoughts on the game, first of all?
Well, first off, I think that South Alabama definitely lived up to or down to their reputation of being the Jekyll and Hyde team of this conference. They've knocked off some SEC teams. They knocked off the two top teams that are still in contention for a conference title this year. They've also looked pretty bad against some teams from the Sun Belt that aren't going to be going bowling, Georgia Southern included. And I think that Georgia Southern, the most positive thing you can say about them, aside from the 52-0 win that no one could have seen coming, at least not in that magnitude, is that Georgia Southern just played well. You know, they weren't getting turnover after turnover, even though they got a couple. It wasn't, missed tackles and 80 and 90-yard runs all over the place. It was just solid offense, solid defense, special teams that got them in good situations as far as field position was concerned. And Georgia Southern just didn't make many mistakes. And when they did, whatever team was coming in behind, whether it's the offense or defense, they cleaned up that mistake by forcing a bigger one by South Alabama. That's how you win games, and when you can do it for all 60 minutes, that's how you win games big.
Well, and that was the problem with Georgia Southern throughout the season. It hasn't been that they've played terrible week in, week out on both sides of the ball. It's just been, it seems like when something goes good for the offense, the defense does two dumb things or two bad things. Mm-hmm. And when the defense does two good drives, the offense goes 3 and out, or turns the ball over, Something like that has been happening. We've heard, Chris De La Rosa mention the Eagles beating the Eagles. Lunsford has said that over and over again, and it didn't happen this time around.
No, I think there's something to be said for momentum. We've talked about it during the losing streak. Sometimes you just need something to go good, whether it's something that you earned, whether it's fluky. But you could definitely see by the third, fourth possession, when Georgia Southern was in control of the game, up 14-0, then up 21-0, all of a sudden there's not only the bounce in their step of being up, having a good chance to win the game, you just got the feeling looking at those guys that they expected the next big break to go their way. That's what you get with winning teams. That's definitely what you get on a day where everybody executes. And hopefully they've got 2 more chances. Obviously a bowl out of the question, but they did what they set out to do in sending their seniors off on senior day with a win. But now they've got 2 days or 2 weeks that I think this should be all about the guys who will be coming back that'll have a chance to do a lot better than 2 or 3 wins next season.
Well, they've got Lafayette coming up this week. One of the big things with the offense was they rotated the quarterbacks, and it seemed to work pretty well. Cato Brown threw for 120 yards and was 4 for 4 through the air. Picked up some big yardage on the ground as well. We also had our first ever this year Sunbelt Player of the Week, and that was Shai Werts. He threw for over 100 yards, rushed for over 100 yards, and I think they've mentioned time and time again one of the things they did was simplify the playbook. 5 or 6 plays rushing, 5 or 6 passing plays. That's all they worked on, and it seems like that seems to be the key, and the offensive line, it seems to be working for them as well.
I think that was the right strategy for a team that was looking for something to hang its hat on. Not sure exactly how they came to the offensive game plan, but I would imagine that early in the week, maybe because they had a few extra days to prepare after the midweek game at Appalachian State, you get a bunch of coaches in the room. They look at the film. They decide, what blocks does the offensive line consistently make the best? What reads do the quarterbacks consistently make the best? What kind of runs do the running backs consistently find the right hole on the most times? And when you can design some plays that incorporate all those things, you give the offense a sense of confidence. They know that every time that they get into the huddle, they're going to hear something that they want to hear. And that might involve chopping down the number of pages in the playbook. But when you've got all 11 guys knowing, hey, I can do this, I've done it before, it's gone a lot better than some of the other things we've tried, you end up with an offense that didn't go backwards too many times. And when they did, those big plays that have been few and far between, they weren't huge plays on Saturday, but there were plenty of 8 and 9 yard runs and 2nd and 1s and 3rd and 1s, things that this offense is built to be able to do.
All right, well, we had a chance to talk with interim head coach Chad Lunsford and a few of the players about the matchup and how things are going for the Eagles as they enter their game with Louisiana Lafayette.
It definitely feels better coming into the FOC today after a win than it's felt the last few weeks. So, yeah, we're definitely going to come out today with a lot of juice and ready for the next challenge.
How do you keep this feeling and this stuff going?
Well, I mean, we just the same way we're going to approach it every single week. It's a new week. We got to be 1-0 for the week. We got to build off of our previous success just now. We've seen how good we can be, and we want to keep building off that. When we have the season that we've had, a lot of people counted us out, but nobody in this building counted us out. And we always knew how good we could be. We just needed to stop beating ourselves, and so I'm really glad we were finally able to put everything together.
I think everything is pretty good so far. The guys excited, man, happy we got a first win for the seniors, and it's good. It's just another good vibe. Just got to continue to grind and continue to look forward, man. We won, and now it's on to the next one. We gotta come out today, practice and prepare, and get ready for Lafayette. I wish we could play in Possum once again, but I mean, it ain't nothing like playing in Possum. But I mean, just 2 more games, another opportunity to play with these seniors again before they get up out of here. So it's just another opportunity for us to come together and play again.
We're not defined by results. We got to trust our process and believe that our process gets the results we want. Obviously, throughout the whole year, we haven't gotten that W in the win column until this past weekend. But, for 4 weeks now, we've been talking about what our process is, what our plan to win is. And then finally Saturday, we put it all together and in all 3 phases. And offensive staff did a great job. Defensive staff did a great job. Special teams staff did a great job. And, and it showed. And the guys bought into our game plans, and they rocked and rolled. I do think it's gotten easier now, obviously because of getting a win. But, again, they've got to understand that it is about the process. It's not – okay, we won and now we've arrived. No, we got to make sure we go to work every day. We got to do our job. We got to live in the moment. It's very important that we don't, we learn from the past, and that's important, but we can't keep looking back in the past, and then we can't look in the future. It's all about today, and it's going out, having a work day, play by play, and that's exactly what we've talked about in these games as we go into them. Just play one play at a time, and take it one day at a time, and just make sure you live in the moment. We want to have an identity, and and we simplified things, and it's more, to me, it's more about us and making sure that we can go out and be efficient, and make sure that we can make sure that we can make it go, do our jobs. But each player's got their own responsibility. Everybody's got their own job, and just go out there and take care of what you can control. I think it's very important that we keep it simple for our guys, because I think they play a lot faster. We pick out the things that are good, we pick out the things that are bad, and we make sure that we're, pointing out good things and then also addressing the bad things. That was a great game Saturday. We won 52-0. It was a lot of points scored, and obviously we didn't give up any points, but there's still things that need to be worked on. Everything's not perfect, and that's what we've told our guys over and over again. There's never going to be a perfect game, and it's how you respond to the bad things that makes you a good football team. So that's what we do every week. We make sure that we point out the good and the bad. Lafayette's a really good football team. They've got good players, and they're well coached. But I think it's still important that we keep doing our jobs and making sure that our players know what their job is, and make sure that they're executing every day and just kind of taking it day by day. It's going to be a tall challenge. We're going to go on the road to a team that's year in, year out usually in the hunt for a Sun Belt championship, and I know they're looking for a bowl game this year. And and I don't think that's changed at Georgia Southern, where we get everybody's best game. People try to come in and play us. I don't think that's changed. I'd expect the same thing out of Lafayette, and our guys got to understand it's going to be a huge challenge for us.
Well, Mike, this is the time in the show where we kind of break down how we feel like the game's going to go. Last week, we both thought Georgia Southern would win the game, even though they were underdogs, but we both thought it would be a low-scoring game. Well, we got half of it right. This time around, your thoughts on going down to Lafayette? Once again, it's a 6-point favorite for Lafayette. Last week, it was a 6-point favorite for South Alabama.
So obviously 52-0 Georgia Southern.
There we go. We don't. Thanks for joining us.
But Louisiana, they started off the season pretty rough. A lot of questions swirling around about their head coaching situation. A few years ago, when Georgia Southern joined the Sun Belt, it was the Raging Cajuns who were the class of the league. But after a 3 or 4 year run, they've kind of gone off a cliff. They're trying to get back into it. They've had a much better go of it the last month or so, playing some good football, coming off a big win last week. But Georgia Southern, hopefully they can ride that tide. It's going to be tough. Their first ever trip down to the Bayou, playing Louisiana Lafayette. I just think that this team has got such a massive weight off of its shoulders that regardless of whether things go good or breaks go bad for them, this is a team that's now playing with the knowledge that it can win. I think you're going to see some more offensive fireworks. Hopefully Georgia Southern can keep up. But hey, you got to ride the heater. This year, heater might constitute one game, but I'm going to go with Georgia Southern. I think they cover the spread. I think they find a way to win. I'm going to go Eagles 28, Louisiana Lafayette 24.
All right, I'm with you in the Georgia Southern wins. I think it's going to be even a little more lopsided. I think 31-17, Georgia Southern comes out on top in this one. I really like the way the momentum, and it looks like they're all at this moment kind of wanting to win and have a chance that maybe Chad Lunsford comes back. I think they're playing that way like they did in the bowl game a couple years back. All right, well, let's shift gears and go to the basketball, where Georgia Southern men, as the time we tape this, 4-0 on the season. They picked up another big win down in the Fort Myers area as they knocked off Missouri State. It was a pretty good team going in. 4-0. How about those Eagles?
Yeah, 4-0 for the first time in 25 years. The last time they had a start like this was the last time that you saw Georgia Southern in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. And this is not a 4-0 with just random Division II teams walking in there. They did get one of those, but the others are Wake Forest. You've got a Cal State Bakersfield team that was a Final Four in the NIT a year ago, an NCAA team 2 years ago, and then Missouri State, which when you look at the G5 in basketball, the mid-major conferences, they're right up there in terms of conference every year. The Missouri Valley, this is a conference that can send usually 3, if not 4 and 5 some years, and this is a Bears team that was picked to win that conference. Georgia Southern, they get out hot out of the blocks, an 11-1 start to the game. Had to survive a couple of runs, had to survive a cold streak or two, but it shows the experience, it shows the veteran leadership that we've talked about being a plus this year with so many guys returning after 2 and 3 years of being in the starting lineup. So they outlast Missouri State. They have the chance to win this preseason tournament. They have a chance to get off to one of the best starts ever. You've got to start digging way back into the history books once they get to 5-0, 6-0 if they get there to find the last time they were at that mark.
Yep. As for the ladies, had Alabama into town. Didn't work out so well for them. They've got a midweek game at South Carolina State. Is that right?
South Carolina State.
All right. And then they'll be coming back home. I believe their
Monday.
next game will be coming up Monday. So after the Thanksgiving break, the Eagles back at home at Hanner. We thank you for joining us. Hope to see you again next week.